But how then can they do that? Because, I mean, some of them, yes, are graduates, but some of them did not complete their schooling. So if you're preaching a message that you yourself did not practice, how is that going to be accepted?
What I mean is most of these artists are successful, but statistically they represent what we call outliers. So what the artist needs to do in educating his followers is to let them understand that he's done it, he's achieved it, but it's a rare, it's not the norm. He's an outlier, and he still needs to promote why students need that level of education at the secondary level. These artists need to be able to, and not just the artists, the other actors and actresses as well need to promote the importance of education. Another thing we also haven't done as a country is we haven't given the secondary school students a lot of incentives to pass. So what we've done on one hand is to put a lot of money into education. Within the last 2 years, from 2012 to 2014, we've said we put in 106 billion naira, additional 106 billion naira into education, but the failure rate has increased. And what the young man looks at really is, it looks at what are the chances that he'll get a job if he comes out of the university. And we keep talking about the probability of getting a job in the country right now, which is about only 8%. With such a low probability of getting a job, and if you do get a job, you have an extremely high probability that it will be a low-income paying job. It gives absolutely zero incentive for the young man to aspire to get into the university. What we, as a potential solution, are promoting is for the government to start thinking of more incentives. One of these incentives, for example, is to consider having to give possible cash rewards for students that pass. The government has to also consider
Cash reward.
cash rewards. You have economies that do that. So it won't be the first thing.
Not scholarships.
The challenge with scholarships is scholarships in most times rewards the best students.
Isn't this just throwing money at the problem and thinking that will solve it?
It's a short-term solution that will stimulate a longer-term solution. For example, what I mean is, as a student, we're all ruled by incentives. If you understand that if you pass your WAEC and get into the university, you stand a very low chance of getting a job. Yes, the government is creating jobs. Last year, we created about 1.2 million jobs in the economy. However, only 36% of these jobs were created in the formal sector. A lot of jobs are created in the informal sector. Now, the graduate doesn't want to have gone through 6 years of secondary school, potentially 4 or 5 years of university, and then get a job in the informal sector. So we need to not only make the journey easier for the graduates to get a job, we need to create more jobs. We also need to create higher paying jobs.
Yeah, but are we not stereotyping education to the extent that people now think that, well, yes, you have to get to university, get your certificate or your degree, and then the next thing is look for a job? Because I thought that the system is not supposed to be designed that way, because, I mean, people could get to any level, but it's the requisite skills that you have that makes you think, or you should even begin to think about entrepreneurship. So if we focus on that, we will not solve the problem to some extent.
Ordinarily, the argument for entrepreneurship will have passed, meaning your argument will have been reasonable in normal circumstances. But in most times, the entrepreneur requires seed capital. The evidence today shows that it's extremely hard for a young university graduate with little or no experience to get seed capital to start a venture that he absolutely has no experience in. So entrepreneurship in most times as a first option for the young graduate it's not a realistic case.
No, but doesn't it depend on the kind of entrepreneurship? In the music sector, for instance, which is, you say, 2 times bigger than that of the broadcast sector, because we know that they're 2 different fields. And so it takes a lot more for one than the other.
Exactly, and that is one of the reasons why the students aren't really interested in passing, because the music sector, for example, doesn't require as much capital to start. The music sector doesn't require you to have strong mathematical skills to succeed in the music sector. You don't even need, based on the evolving music trends, you do not need to have a high command of the English language to succeed in the music sector. And the interesting thing is, today, we have a brighter case. In the next 2 years, based on the growth of the music industry, the musical industry is going to be bigger than the educational industry in Nigeria by 2016. At that point in time, fewer students will have incentives to go into school. Because what you will have is like a case of the pawpaw and the pawpaw seed. Once the pawpaw seed becomes and grows bigger than the pawpaw, then there will be a crack. Once the musical industry, the musical arts, the motion pictures, sound and music recording, becomes bigger than the educational sector, and looking at the current trend, it is going to be nearly impossible for us to reverse that trend. What we see as that today is that by the end of 2016, the Nigerian musical industry is going to be much bigger than the educational sector. Then we are going to be in problem.
Okay, we'll have to draw the curtains here. Lower Bumi is talking about the sector focus on what did we, okay, I'm sorry, we have to go.
I wish we had time to take more questions, you know. And,
so many here, but I'm tempted. But
scrutiny.
my director will have my neck.
Yeah.
Babajide Ogunsowo is a data and information analyst. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's it today. We thank you all for watching and for your comments as well. Sorry, we're not able to take them today, but we will next time, as always. Yes, I'm Chamberlain also.
Thank you. Have it was a beautiful weekend. I'm Maokwe Ogun.
And I'm Nell Tagbe. Thank you.